and I'm a researcher in social anthropology at the University of St. Andrews. I'm here to answer your questions about natural disasters, environmental sustainability, and community response to climate change. Over the past week, we received lots of interesting and engaging questions, and I really want to thank you for sending these to us. So what I've done is I've tried to group them in three categories and then chose the most representative question for each category, hoping in this way to answer, if not all your questions, at least the majority of them. So in this video, we'll answer one of my top 3 questions, and if you have not checked out yet the other 2 videos, then please have a look at them once this video ends. The third question comes from Alison, and here's what she asked. Can modern life ever be truly environmentally sustainable? That's $1 million question, Alison, isn't it? Thank you so much for raising this issue. So the way I see it, there are 2 main factors to it. One is industry, and the other is people's habits and daily life more broadly. And yes, there are ways you can make either of them more sustainable. I would be hesitant to say truly environmentally sustainable, in lack of agreement between cultures and people what truly means. So I would just say more environmentally sustainable thereafter. So to begin with industry, let's take the example of the European Union. The development of a green industry is at the moment one of the 4 priority areas in the EU's strategic agenda for the years 2019 to 2024, which you can find and read in the link if you're interested. Moreover, a funding scheme that's called the Just Transition Fund is currently being established to support the EU's member states and their industries in a transition towards what is being envisioned as a carbon neutral European Union by 2050. Having other multinational and international bodies right now also moving towards the same direction and therefore influencing both production and consumption to engage in more sustainable practices, which actually makes a difference in global terms. At the same time, of course, individual action in one's everyday life is equally important. And this can include anything really from recycling and walking or cycling in the city center to having communities coming together and acting collectively for their own benefit. Of course, it's something much more easier said than done, which brings me back to the role of anthropology, specifically in the study and in the research of climate change. Because it's not just different cultures that perceive the weather phenomena in various ways, but also individuals within the same cultural group who may have developed diverse understandings of them. For example, when my on-field site, the island I was conducting my doctoral research, flooded in September 2019 because of a heavy rainfall, and after I researched people's understandings of the incident, I found out there were people who were already alarmed about climate change and who also got worried about their own actions and about these actions may have contributed to the disaster. And therefore, they decided to change their own way of living and their own daily tasks in a way to preserve the island and to create a better way for the future. But there were also individuals in the same community who attributed the disaster to God's will, and therefore they didn't feel liable for what happened or for what may happen in the future, which means that they did not consider taking any actions about it. So the challenge there is to raise awareness among people while at the same time respecting their own views and their own ways of being socially organized. Because the important thing is that you're not there to judge people, or you're not there to disturb communities or society's balance, even if you disagree with it. This is not your work. And of course, to achieve that, you need to get to know people first. You definitely need to gain their trust, and as you may suspect already, this takes a lot of time. So to answer your question, Alison, I do think that modern life can become environmentally sustainable, yes, but I'm not confident about how soon or how late this will be achieved, especially considering how climate change is already getting out of our control globally. A very sad example of this being the wildfires that ravaged Australia between late 2019 and early 2020. So I hope you have all found this answer interesting, and I also hope you have touched on more than just a single question in the process. Remember to check out what next week's Ask Me Anything is about and send any questions you have to this email address here. Also remember and check out my other two answer videos if you have not done so already. Thank you so much for watching and for sending these amazing questions of yours. It was great to draft the answers. And of course, if you do have any other questions, or if there's anything else you would like to discuss with me, do not hesitate to get in touch. See you around. Bye for now.